Hey guys, welcome to another Kickster review. So today I'm going to be reviewing Extraction 2, which just dropped on Netflix, starring Chris Hemsworth. This is obviously the sequel to the first movie, Extraction, and I just managed to get to see it last night. So I'm going to give a quick review here. I'm not going to go too long, and I'm just going to go into spoilers as well, because I don't feel it's the kind of movie that people care too much about spoilers with. So anyways, the story of this one is basically picks up right where the first one ended, where he fell into the river, the Chris Hemsworth character, and then he gets rescued, saved, and then he's on a long recovery to his full health once again. And then basically Idris Elba comes into the equation with a job for him, which is kind of a personal one, because it's Chris Hemsworth's ex-wife's sister who needs his help, and they're locked in a prison in Georgia, and basically he has to go in and extract them from there, his ex-wife's sister and her kids, to extract them out of there. And then obviously that brings up a whole conflict with the lady's husband, who is like a crime lord in Georgia, and he's in the prison as well. And it just sparks this whole fight basically as he's trying to rescue this family. And so that's the basic premise of the whole thing. And it just, you have a lot of action sequences here and there. So I guess the first question is, what was the action like? This is the kind of movie that people come to for the action. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was as good as the first one, and the reason being is that whilst these were more obviously cleverly choreographed, and you can clearly tell that they're going for the John Wick style of action with these films, which is obviously very popular at the moment, I think they went too much into it. What I liked about the first movie was that the action was more believable, and it was actually, every time he did something to survive, it kind of caused more chaos around him, which is kind of realistic of how it would go down in that kind of a situation where the police and the armed forces are after you and whatnot. And so that felt believable, whereas in this one now there feels like there's no surrounding consequences for the fallout of all this carnage going on, particularly when there's an action sequence that takes place in a skyscraper, or around a skyscraper I should say as well, where it just feels like, where's the law enforcement? Like, you do see some police show up, but it's just completely unbelievable how it goes down. And I mean, there's some flaws in this film in terms of the storyline. Like, I'll give you an example. In that same skyscraper where Chris Hemsworth has the family and he's got them safe there, and then basically the bad guys come along in a helicopter, they're there to not just kill Chris Hemsworth, but they're there to rescue the family, because it's the brother of the father who got killed. I'm not going to go too much into the story. Basically, he's there, he wants to rescue them and bring them out, whilst also getting vengeance on Chris Hemsworth. But as soon as he arrives in this helicopter, he just opens fire on this apartment that they're all in. It's like, well, he could have so easily killed his niece and nephew. So kind of like stupid things like that happen from time to time that just don't make any sense. So look, my overall feeling of the film is that it just was not as good as the first one. I still enjoyed it. I still think the action was enough to keep me invested, to just to see it all the way through. It does clearly set up at the end that there's going to be a sequel, by the looks of it, assuming if this one is successful. They're trying to looks like they're trying to do the same thing with John Wick, where they try and create a greater lore for this Extraction universe and a bit of a history for Chris Hemsworth's character. So yeah, look, my thoughts on that was that the action was good. I didn't think the story was as good this time around, even though it was kind of a more personal story for Chris Hemsworth's character, whose name is Tyler. It's more personal for him because it involves his wife and her sister and niece and nephew and all that stuff. So like, it should hit more closer to home, but I still feel like the original story with the Indian family, I felt had a nicer touch to it. So yeah, look, I think it was a step down as a sequel. It's trying too hard, I think, to be kind of a John Wick type film, which I think is a shame, because the first one kind of carved out its own sort of niche, and it should just kind of stick to that rather than trying to make all of the scenes like a John Wick film. But yeah, look, those are my general thoughts right now. Probably the best action scene was the first one of the film, which takes place in the prison when he's getting the family out of there, and there's a whole sequence that takes place, particularly once he's rescued the kids, but now he's got to get the mother out, and they're kind of fighting through. The prison has just broken out and everything's gone insane. The bodyguards are fighting the prisoners and etc. And so he's just fighting his way through there, and just everyone's coming at him from left and right. And again, it is very John Wick-esque, but I can't help but enjoy it. It was just absurd fun. So it's the kind of action that we kind of crave for these days in some ways, just kind of mindless action. But it would be nice to kind of see that sort of stuff just tied into a more coherent story at times. Whilst this is a simple plot, it's just a rescue mission basically, but like they tried, it's just, they just kind of take the audience for granted, I feel, with these kind of films where they just kind of assume that we're just going to switch off our brains anyways, and so they might as well the filmmakers might as well do the same thing. And I feel that's kind of a cop-out. It's like a bit, just cheapens the filmmaking process, especially for people like me that love to kind of get invested in a film and to really like take it all in, and it's just not that kind of film. And that's fine, not every film has to be that way, but yeah, just can't help but feel like, yeah, it is a bit of a letdown in that regard. And it's yeah, but look, if you're looking for just a film with some great action set pieces, by all means, you'll enjoy it. If you're looking for a deep story, this is not it. If I'm going to give my final score for this film, I would say it is a 5.5 out of 10. Good action, like enough action to keep you entertained. Weak story. Characters are whatever. Chris Hemsworth is great, like as his character, he's the same this time around, but none of the other characters are really particularly engaging. It's just, they're just kind of cookie cutter as it goes. So yeah, look, that's my thoughts. 5.5 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed this review. Go check out the film if you think it's something for yourself. It's on Netflix right now, just dropped. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.